Top 10 Best Looking Motorcycles of 2023. Here it is, another subjective list of the best looking motorcycles of 2023. These are ones that I look at and think, crikey, and think others would too. Some of these motorcycles came out in mid-2022, and might be released as a 2022 model year in some places. And maybe some of these motorcycles were released a year or two prior, but I didn't recognize them, and want to give them some airtime. But they're all available new in model year 2023. You might notice some themes as you look down the motorcycles here, like a larger number of middleweight adventure motorcycles. It's not entirely my subjective taste, some of it is fashion and what's popular in motorcycles these days. 10. Royal Enfield Super Meteor 650. The Royal Enfield 650 twins, the Continental GT and the Interceptor, are already very good-looking bikes. Royal Enfield definitely knows how to make an attractive bike on a budget. The Super Meteor 650 is the third bike in the 650 twin series, but in cruiser format. Like its stablemates, it's powered by a 648 cubic centimeters parallel twin with a 270-degree crankshaft that's air and oil-cooled that makes a modest 47 horsepower at 7,250 RPM, making this cruiser learner-friendly in many parts of the world. It's heavier than the other 650 twins though, so this is quite a sedate ride. 9. Moto Guzzi V100 Mandela S. Moto Guzzi has always had some of the best-looking motorcycles, as they prioritize classic aesthetics and feel over the latest tech. The balance has shifted with their 2023 headliner, the V100 Mandela. The engine is new in a lot of ways, using modern technology like double overhead camshafts, 4 valves per cylinder, and chain-driven cams. The net result is a respectable peak power of 115 horsepower from the 1042 cubic centimeters engine, about what I'd expect for a middleweight sport tourer. Like other Moto Guzzi motorcycles, final drive is via a shaft. 8. Kawasaki ZX4RR KRT Edition. In terms of aesthetics, it looks a lot like other KRT sport motorcycles from Kawasaki. Even the humble Ninja 650, a street commuter, looks cool in this livery. But the promise of the high-revving 399 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled engine is what gets people's hearts fluttering. It makes peak torque of 36 Nm/36.5 lb-ft at 11,000 RPM, very similar to the peak torque made by the Honda CB400 Super 4, but higher revving to make peak power of 57 kilowatts, 77 PS. Or 59 kilowatts, 80 PS, with ram air per the Kawasaki Europe announcement. By my math, that peak power would arrive around 16,000 RPM. Making an engine sing that high in everyday riding is a recipe for fun. 7. Suzuki VStrom 1050D. I've been a big fan of Suzuki's redesign of the V-Strom since it first happened a few years ago. It's based on the classic DR Big design, which was named after an evil superhero from another galaxy. Whether you like the beak design on adventure motorcycles or not, Suzuki's invented it with the DR Big. The V-Strom D takes the same engine and general design concept, but adds a 21-inch front tire, which is tubed, more adventure-ready rubber, longer travel suspension, a bunch of off-road features that XT riders would have added anyway, e.g. wide foot pegs, a stronger sump guard, and other stronger parts. The V-Strom 1050D is now one of my top contenders for the best value adventure motorcycle. It's a bonus that it's good looking. 6. Husqvarna Northern 901. The Husqvarna Northern 901 is Husqvarna's first attempt at building an adventure tourer. They're building on the back of the KTM 890 adventure platform, borrowing most of the high-end equipment, including the engine, chassis, suspension, and brakes. For off-road adventuring, the Northern 901 has great intermediate specs, with 220/215 mm, 8.7/8.5 in, of suspension travel front and rear, and a 21-inch front wheel. Wheels are spoked on both sides, which makes off-road work less jarring, and there's protection for the fork lowers, sump, and hands. The Northern 901 can take you there. Purely on aesthetics though, the Husqvarna Northern 901 is quite different from the KTM bikes. It manages to look modern but retro, and I like it. 5. Honda XL 750 Transalp. The Honda Transalp 750 is powered by a 755 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled, unicam, parallel twin with a 270-degree crank. It's an all-new motor for Honda, and is also found in the new 2023 CB750, Honda's new darling middleweight naked roadster. In the Transalp, the motor makes a peak of 67.5 kilowatts/92 horsepower at 9,500 RPM, a near-perfect amount of power for a bike like this. But the headline features are that the new 2023 Transalp comes with a 21-inch front wheel and 200 and 190 millimeters of suspension travel at the front and rear, respectively. 4. Harley-Davidson Breakout 117. Like many high-spec Harleys, the Lowrider ST has the air/oil-cooled Milwaukee 8117 engine at its core. This is Harley's most premium spec engine. It also graces the limited edition CVO bikes, for example. It makes a whopping 125 lb-ft of torque at 3,500 RPM, with no ride modes or traction control to get in the way. It's all at your fingertips to use as you wish. Harley-Davidson always has a bunch of stunning bikes in its lineup. The Breakout is back in the 2023 lineup in the US after a 3-year hiatus, after it continued to be a top seller elsewhere in the world, notably in Australia. The new 2023 Plus Breakout has the Milwaukee 8117 motor, and has a 5-gallon tank again, up from 3.5 from the earlier Milwaukee 8 years. 3. Ducati Diavel V4. Ducati keeps rolling out that V4 engine to more and more motorcycles. It debuted in the Panigale, then came in Gran Turismo format, with no Desmo and super long valve service intervals, in the Multistrada V4, and now it's in the Diavel V4. The Diavel V4 is the latest in Ducati's iconic Diavel/X Diavel range of sporty, cruiser, motorcycles. It replaces the 1260 V-twin engine with the Gran Turismo V4 engine, which we first saw in the Ducati Multistrada V4. It's Ducati's first engine not to have desmodromic timing in a long time, and the result is that maintenance is not only slightly easier, but also much wider, with a massive 36,000 miles or 60,000 kilometers between valve service intervals. 2. BMW M1000R. That's not the name of a motorcycle, that's just a string of letters and numbers. Well, it's both. The M1000R is the latest M model of motorcycle from BMW, basically an S1000R, single R, with RR characteristics. The BMW S1000R has been BMW's naked street sport bike for a number of years. I love it, oodles of power, and handling that makes me seem like a much better rider than I am. The current generation S is still an awesome bike, but it has the standard non-shift cam engine in it, plus it lacks winglets. 1. Aprilia Touareg 660. The Aprilia Touareg 660 is the third motorcycle in the Aprilia 660 lineup of middleweight motorcycles that started with the RS 660 and was quickly followed up by the Tonos 660. The engine was a similar highly tuned unit in the RS 660 and Tonos 660, but the 659 cubic centimeters parallel twin has been detuned for more torque in the Touareg. So in the Touareg, the same engine makes similar peak torque of 70 Nm, 52 lb-ft, at a lower 6,500 RPM, but just 59 kilowatts, 80 horsepower, at 9,250 RPM. But who needs top end when you're doing off-road riding? Aesthetically, I like it how the Touareg manages to make practical things like a strong chassis, long travel suspension, and undercarriage protection all work together and not seem ungainly.
I hope to inspire you and help you learn more about your favorite theme. Subscribe to my channel and let me know what you think.